podcast host, Athor, eating a pillow. Dude, welcome back to the Modern Warrior podcast. The past 9 episodes, we really went into personal development, how to just be the best version of yourself. And we're going to start a little 3-part mini-series starting today on the things you would have told your past self about how to be better in fitness. Next week, we'll do relationships. And the week after that, we'll do business, wealth, just work in general, your work life. So fitting today, we just bro it out.
Sick.
Let's talk about fitness, man. Let's talk about the thing that we know the most about. And specifically, what you would have told your younger self trying to put on muscle, getting bigger.
Okay.
And then also trying to do your first cut and lose body fat.
Okay.
We'll separate it into those two. So pick your brain. When you first went on your bulk or you first tried to put on muscle, how old were you?
So that's when I first started in the gym in general. So I was 16, almost 17.
Yeah.
And I was a junior in high school. And I was just doing it for basketball, but I was super small. I was 108 pounds. Mm-hmm. So I was
You said 108?
108 pounds.
Wow.
I was 5'8", 5'9", 108
Damn.
pounds.
I forget you were so skinny, bro.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like you.
And then from that 17 to about 20, I got up to 165. And then, so that's around the time I was in college. But I think I was more focused on, I had heard if you just ate a lot, you would get bigger.
Yeah.
So
Calories surplus.
which is technically correct, but my quality food sources was non-existent. Mm-hmm. On campus, me and my brother would go to the Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, and we had the campus credit card, where you load it every year, so you have X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
And so that's where you could use those cards at. And so I would just load up and take a bunch of food home, also because I didn't want to have to leave again. And so I was eating a bunch of garbage like that, and since I was technically growing, it seemed like it was working. And that made more sense because when I was in high school, I thought just lifting would make me big.
Yeah.
No one taught me or told me hey, you need to eat this much protein, this many calories and a calorie surplus, and this is how you actually build muscle and put on size.
Yeah.
I thought it was just lift.
Yep.
So I was eating McDonald's for breakfast, a bowl of watermelon for lunch, and then whatever my mom made for dinner.
You're on the Cali muscle diet.
Yeah, exactly. And
Just top ramen and prison workouts.
right. And my progress was so slow. I remember my first probably year and a half, I went into my dad's office and I was like, why am I still small? And he's like, dude, just stay with it. Just stay with it. Cause he probably thought I knew more than I did. And so the first 2 years were so frustrating because I had zero guidance, zero help on knowing what to do. Cause you figure you ask my parents and I'm eating. So they're oh yeah, he's fine. Mm-hmm. That's enough. Right. Cause they're from the era of get skinny means don't eat anything.
Yeah.
So their perception of how to do things was not accurate at the time. Right. So it's just yeah, you seem like you're eating dinner every night. So yeah, you must be fed.
Yeah.
And so that was the most frustrating thing. So I think if I could go back and talk to 16-year-old me, or even when I run into a 16-year-old dude at the gym and he's asking me for help, I just tell him, if you can go find a place where you can get your basal metabolic rate and your lean muscle mass, go to that place, get those numbers so you can figure out how much protein you need to actually be eating every day and what your maintenance calories are. And then so you can figure out whether you're cutting, putting weight on, how much calories you need to be eating.
Yeah,
and
so let's break down first. Basal metabolic rate, that's how many calories your burns at rest.
Correct.
So just based on the amount of muscle mass that you have on your body, this is the amount of calories you would burn if you just did nothing, sat on the couch all day and just chilled.
Right.
So you're saying find out the amount that you burn at rest, right? Take into account the amount of times you work out per week. Mm-hmm. So let's say your basal metabolic rate is 2,000 calories. Mm-hmm. You got a good amount of muscle on you. You work out 5 times a week. I would say do that 2,000 calories times 1.5.
Right.
Figure out a rough estimate of how many calories you're burning per day. Mm-hmm. Comes out to 2,800, 2,900, whatever it is. that is your maintenance calories, right? So basal metabolic rate times 1 point, however many days a week you train, right? That's roughly how many calories you're burning with how active you are.
Yeah.
So if you want to put on weight and you want to put on muscle, you have to be eating more calories than you're burning.
Right.
Right? Plain and simple. That's just science. Right. So I would recommend about 300 to 400 calories more than what you're burning.
Right.
To start. Because I think that's another thing with the bulk too, is like people think I just need to eat 5,000 calories. It's like, well, hey, if you want to do this right, if you want to stay kind of lean in the process, you don't want to put on a shit ton of fat.
Right.
Let's do like every 3 to 4 weeks increase calories. So let's start just a little bit above what you're burning.
Right.
Maybe 3,300, and then we'll check the scale again in three weeks. If you can, do an in-body scan where you can see your muscle mass and body fat.
Yeah.
And then just increase it, 300 more, 200 more, 100 more, whatever it is, until you can like slowly put on good muscle and good weight. And talk about the relationship between calories and protein. Which one's more important for someone? What's your take on that?
So that's tough. I think depending on like what your actual goal is, if you have a actual structured plan, so on my days where my bigger muscle groups, so like my legs or my back, I actually purposely bring my protein down so I can have more carbs for the day.
And stay at the same calories?
And stay at the same calories. Okay. And then on smaller muscle groups, chest, shoulders, arms, whatever, that's when my protein goes back up to where I actually need it to be, and on my rest days. So
and it's less carbs on those days?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, so the carbs come back down so the protein can be significantly higher. So it's kind of like both is the answer. The best answer is actually have a plan.
Yeah.
If you can get some kind of structure to figure out on these days I'm eating this, on these days I'm eating this, that is going to be the best answer. Because then you are figuring out how many calories you do need and how many grams of protein you do need. Okay. You know, one of the other things I wish someone had told me is just because you're training a bigger muscle group doesn't mean you don't actually burn insane amount of calories during your workouts. I think
it's not like that much different.
Yeah, I think some people overanalyze when they're training legs. They're like, oh, dude, I burn like 2,000 calories when I do legs. And it's like, you probably don't.
Yeah.
You may be getting like 400 or 500.
Right.
Just because like the Apple Watch maybe tells you you're burning that many.
So they scarf down a shit ton of calories.
Right. And so they're like
bloated during their workout.
Right. And now they feel like it's okay to go and like cheat meal.
Kind of just an excuse to eat a shit ton of carbs.
Right.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I did legs today. Yeah. It's like, yes, you did, but you didn't actually burn as many calories as you think you did. So that's another thing I wish I would have known because I was that kid.
Yeah.
You know, when I got into like 21, 22-ish, still didn't really know much. Had a better idea, but then me and my friend were like, oh, we did legs. So we'd go spend like $50 at Taco Bell thinking we could eat like 3,000 calories of junk in one meal.
Right.
And it was justified. But then like I did hit a point where I started putting weight on, but I wasn't actually getting stronger. So I was like actually putting on a little fluff for the first time in my whole life. And so that was another part that like I had no idea. It was a whole new world for me. I had never been thick, fat, chunky. Like I had never had any shape to me before. I was just skin and bones with a little bit of muscle.
So would you say you had a faster metabolism than most growing up?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Both me and my brother. Like it was just like I was always, my head circumference was in like the 90th percentile. I just had a big ass head. And then my weight was always in like the 10th percentile. So I was just built funny.
That's all I was, dude.
Really?
Massive head. Massive nog. I didn't grow into my head for a while.
Yeah. It wasn't until I was like in my 20s that like my body actually matched my head.
Yeah.
But, you know, because of that, I had to learn now how to cut. I know I was just asking you outside if you were ever like a bigger kid or anything.
Yeah, never really struggled with being super overweight or anything like that. I had a little chunk on me, like growing up, like young, but through high school playing sports and stuff, I wasn't the area where like, what is it, an ectomorph where you're super skinny?
Yeah.
It's really hard to put on weight. Like you would have to eat a shit ton every day. So I wasn't fully that way, but it wasn't really easy to gain weight either. It was like right in the middle, kind of. Gotcha. I forgot which one it is. Might be a mesomorph or one of the two.
Yeah.
So I had to eat, but I didn't have to eat a shit ton to put on some weight. So I was more worried about kind of putting on too much fat at the end of the day. But just to break it down, so what we've gone over so far is like starting out, figure out how many calories and how much protein your body needs to actually put on muscle, right? And if you live in Arizona, come to Peak Nutrition. We'll do it all for you for free.
Yep.
Fun tip. So figure that out first, and then kind of figure out which one you are, more of like an ectomorph. Are you more on the easier side to gain weight? Because it is going to look different for both of those people.
Right.
If you're someone skin and bones and it's really tough for you to put on weight, brother, mix a big ass protein shake in the morning where you chuck three scoops of protein, 2 bananas, honey, chocolate syrup, make a monster shake full of 2,000 calories, sip on it throughout the day.
Yeah.
Because I know how it is in high school and college, like you're not gonna be able to eat 5, 6, 7 meals a day.
Right.
So like have that to start, because that's already your base calories. And then eat a good lunch with some kind of protein, eat dinner with some kind of protein, carb up, because that's gonna be the only way you probably put on weight.
Yeah.
And then what you were referring to is carb cycling.
Correct.
Carb cycling, put plain and simple, is changing the amount of carbs that you're eating per day to fit the intensity of your workout.
Correct.
Plain and simple.
Absolutely.
So what you're saying is on a heavier muscle group, you're going to go a little bit higher carbs, but not go crazy over the world, but just more than what you do on a normal day.
Right.
And then you kind of bring it down throughout the week, if I'm hearing it right. So
Yeah.
like, you know, next day is an arm day, you bring it down a little bit. Next day maybe is an active rest day, so it's like the lower carb day.
Correct.
It's actually lower than your normal carbs. And you kind of just keep cycling it like that.
Right.
And the purpose of that is to stay leaner as you're bulking up.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So I think we're caught up to speed with that part. That part makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like that's like you said that perfectly. The purpose of doing it that way is that way you can still grow without putting on too much fat.
Right.
Because I know when I was younger, I thought it was bulk, cut, and bulk meant you put on 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And it didn't care where it came from.
I'm on my bulk.
I'm on my bulk. Yeah, exactly.
bulking.
You're eating McDonald's again, and you're like,
Dude, you're just being
bulking.
a fat ass.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
And
like
it's going to be really hard to get it off once you've put it on.
Right.
And I think that's where we both relate is like, that's one of the golden tips that I would give is when you are bulking up, dude, one, I would keep cardio in.
Yes.
I would keep doing cardio, whether that's 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, you know, just like keeping it daily. Cause one, that's going to increase your metabolism.
Right.
So you can actually eat more food. Cause I noticed for me, dude, there's a point where in my bulk, if I'm eating a lot of food and I'm really pushing food high, it gets to the point where you're kind of just miserably, like more than like the 70% of your day, you're bloated, like just a little bit thicker. You don't really feel that good either. And that's like actually inhibiting you from keeping on pushing your calories, and it gets miserable. So if anything, me personally would take a slower approach to putting on weight. Different if you're in high school, like just starting, it's like kind of just eat. But like as you get into your like 20s and you're a couple years into the gym, like start thinking about when you bulk, it's more like putting on quality muscle that you can actually like see your physique rather than just like hoping it was muscle. Like somewhere under there, there's some muscle.
Somewhere,
Like, no, you should be able to kind of see the insertions of your muscles and stuff like that so that you know what to work on. If you're at the point where you're fucking fluffed up in your off season or your bulking season, it's tough for you to know like, where's my weak parts? Like it all just looks fluffy. Like I don't know what to work on.
And then once you cut down, you put like 20 pounds on, you cut down, you lose 19. So it's like the 1 pound, was that worth it? You just put 6 months in total of a 3-month bulk, 3-month cut
to put on
to 1 pound heavier. No, dude, don't do that. Whereas like, even if a high school kid could actually be disciplined, and I say they can because I've seen a few that come into the store and like talk to me and stuff, and they will do
dialed in,
and they're consistently growing. You know, they're putting on like 2 pounds a month. Pound and a half of it's usually muscle, and then the rest of it's like water. Their body fat's staying pretty regular throughout the entire time. And again, like I wish I had done that. I had known something like that because now even like I'm almost 30, but the way I'm doing it now, it's like we are consistently growing, and it feels slower. But
it's
the
actually
slow
faster.
progress is actually much faster.
Chuck up a picture of Diego right here so everyone knows what he looks like under this hoodie real quick.
I'll put a before and after. I'll put like my what I started at and then where I'm at now.
It's crazy, bro. You've been able to make an insane amount of progress in the last 2-3 years, which is really tough when you've already been in it, doing it for how long as you've done it. You know, after, you know, you get the newbie gains at the beginning where you put on a shit ton, and then when you're 5 to 6 to 10 years into lifting, you're hoping to get 3 or 4 pounds of muscle per year. Like that'd be good. That'd be really good. You know, the body doesn't really want to put on all this muscle, right? It actually kind of wants to keep you at a healthy range, and it's fighting you putting on this muscle, right? As a survival mechanism.
Yeah.
But going back to the bulking point, I would think for most high school kids, college, like younger kids starting out, I'm seeing the trend of you're a year into lifting, if that, 6 months in, and you've done like a bulk. Yeah. And like it's the thing to go straight into a cut now, right? Where you haven't even really grown. Correct. But like there's this pressure to like go through a bulk and cut. It's just like the trendy thing now. It's like I'm seeing a lot of kids worrying about cutting. I had a 17-year-old come in the other day. He's, you know, up 8 pounds of weight in the last year, put on like 3 or 4 pounds of muscle. Okay. And he's worried about cutting because his body fat got up a little bit. Okay. But I'm like, bro, while you're young and your testosterone is through the roof and you can actually put on a crazy amount of muscle, I wouldn't even worry about cutting until you're probably 2 years into like eating in a surplus, getting stronger. And what that's going to do is give you a way better foundation and base for when you are in your mid-20s, 30s, stuff like that. If you never put on that solid amount of muscle mass, that base while you're young, it's going to be so hard in the future to cut down and stuff like that. And once you already have a good amount on you, it's easier to stay leaner. Right. So me personally, this is just my advice. I would say for your first probably year, 2 years, 3 years, worried about getting stronger and eating food.
Why do you think?
That's me.
What do you think makes, let's take that 17-year-old, what do you think it is that makes him want to actually cut?
Spring break.
Spring break, social media.
Going to Mexico with his boys, and he just wants to have a six-pack for girls.
And I think, and just because we've touched on social media before, I think that's another thing that throws people off. And now, although this is going to be on social media, it's really hard for me to say it, but like, don't listen to every single thing you see on social media. That's going to be another thing I wish I had known, because I'm following all these different people, and this guy has 100,000 followers, so he must know what he's talking about. And then I go back and look at these people, and I'm like, I listened to you, and this is why it hindered me. Yeah. You know, just because someone has a big following, just because someone actually might look good, they don't actually know everything. You know, they've been able to figure out for themselves. Yeah, exactly. They figured out their body, which is fantastic. But that doesn't mean that they know how to work with every single body, and what they did for them is not going to work for you. You know, that's a good point. That's one thing I wish I had known. You know, because I was a huge Kai Green fan, and I thought he was natty, and I thought the secret sauce was what Muscle Med used to make. Grapefruits. Right. The Muscle Meds used to make a thing called secret sauce, and it was just a cluster dextrin. Yeah. It was with like a carb powder, and I thought that was the key to look like him. And after taking it for like 6 months, I had put on like 10 pounds. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, why am I not 340 pounds right now? You know, and so like I used to start getting so frustrated because I'm like, is he just this much better than me? But then when you start learning more about it, other things that they're using, other things that they're taking, and just someone just might actually have better genetics than you.
100%.
And then 100%. It's like, oh, this actually makes sense. But like people just don't talk about that. So it would be, do your own research. It doesn't matter if you're 15, 16, 17 years old. Go do your own research. Compare it with your gym buddies. See what they know. Because one of them might actually have something that's knowledgeable. One of them might have a dad that actually has done it, been doing the thing. But don't be afraid to do your own research. Yeah. You know,
and ask questions to people. You know, what supplements would you recommend someone starting out in high school, college, trying to put on muscle mass? What do they need?
So it's funny. So we actually have in the stores, it says the hierarchy of needs. And these are the 7 most studied supplements with proven results. Right. And so that's going to be multivitamin and fish oil. Those are like the most unsexy supplements that you can take, but probably some of the most beneficial. Yeah.
Why do I need to take a multivitamin if I'm a young kid? Right. Seems like kind of just like I'm healthy. Why would I take that to help me build muscle?
For those, it's actually going to make you utilize 100% of protein, carbs, and fats, and let your body use them as energy. So even like all the other supplementation that you're taking, you're going to use them all at about like an 80 to 70%. But now if you have a multivitamin in you, your body can absorb all of it and use it at 100%. So instead of wasting your mom's money on buying all this stuff, make sure you're buying the one that's going to allow you to use all the stuff she just spent her money on.
Right. And make sure it's encapsulated too.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not a hard pressed pill because your body can't really absorb those.
100%.
So as long as you can break the pill open and pour it into something like a squishy capsule, that's what you want.
Yep.
And you can shake the bottle at the store and see if it's like a light sound versus like it sounds like a clunk of rocks in it.
Yep.
That's what you want. So as long as it's a high quality one, totally agree. What's another supplement they can take?
Now for younger kids, I actually think they should be able to hit their protein through food.
Okay. What about if they're in high school and they can't eat 6 meals a day with 40 grams of protein?
Then that would be like the exception. You know, I do think high quality isolate for after their workouts, practices, whatever it is that they're doing.
And what's an isolate protein?
So that's going to be...
Sorry, I'm going to get super just detailed on it because I know we know it really well, but a lot of kids don't know these terms. So
this is going to be a protein where the dairy is actually extracted, the lactose is extracted out of it.
Cool.
So it's just going to break down quicker, hit the bloodstream within 30 minutes. So it's going to allow you to recover a lot quicker.
So post-workout isolate protein?
Yeah. So that's going to be another one that's huge. A sustained protein, that's going to be a slower digesting. That's going to fill the place of if they can't eat another meal. So if you got to throw protein in your backpack, throw it in a plastic baggie or throw it in a bottle so you can put some water in it and drink it at school.
Yeah.
That's what that's going to be for.
Cool.
But now if someone can eat all their food, they don't necessarily need it, but it is useful to have on hand because there will be the days where you are busy.
Short. You're just short on protein, bro. That's how it is.
Or you're just not hungry.
Yeah.
It's late at night. It's 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and you're 50 grams short on the day. That's
2 scoops,
quick, easy way.
water,
now you're done.
Done.
Right.
Cool.
The next would be a creatine.
For sure.
That's, again, like one of the most studied supplements for building muscle, to recover quicker. And don't be afraid of creatine. Like, I do see it with a lot of parents, and it's just all the way that they used to make it back in the day with all these fillers, sugars, and all this other stuff. This is why it used to give people problems.
Yeah.
Like my dad now, he's like convinced that his like now kidney issues. He's almost 60.
He's from the creatine
He took back in the day, and like he might be right.
Yeah.
Because it had all this other junk in it, but it's like now it's much better.
Yeah.
Quality of things is much better.
Yep.
They don't do that, and so I actually do enjoy relieving parents of that stress of like, I can guarantee this is not going to do to them what it may have done to you. I use it daily. I have no issues.
Yep.
So that's going to be another one that's super huge.
Yeah, and just to dive in on that, so back in the 80s, 90s, they used to add a lot of sugar and salt to creatine because it's so cheap to make that they had to add fillers to make it more profitable at the end of the day. So like, yeah, you would obviously fucking gain a little bit of bloating, a little bit of water weight because you got sugar, salt, and creatine going down the hatch,
you
bro.
Get big too.
And you would bulk up, right? You look puffy. That's what no one wants, right? So just creatine monohydrate is, in my opinion, just like the stock standard. 5 grams a day, 1 scoop. That's it. Doesn't matter what time of day you take it, as long as you take it daily, keep it in the system, right? Safe for 99% of America to take unless you have a prior existing kidney issue.
Correct.
Right? And then even that, it's like don't take 10, 15, 20 grams a day.
Yeah.
Because yes, that is hard on your kidneys.
Right.
You get creatine through a lot of red meat, chicken, stuff like that. You're just not getting enough for the effects of it unless you take it supplementally. And what it does really at a foundational level is increases the amount of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, that your body can use during a workout. Or just in general throughout the day, but really during explosive movements, you might be able to get 1 to 2 more reps on your training. So whether you're bulking or cutting, this is a great supplement to add in because you're either putting on more muscle, breaking down more tissue, or you're able to burn more calories during your workout.
Right.
So I think that's a good thing for people to know.
And then one of the things that's actually, it's not on the hierarchy of needs, but for me is probably one of the most crucial is actually a good pre-workout.
Yeah.
So the reason I say that a good pre-workout is so important is because what it's doing is, whether it's stim or non-stim, that's your choice, whether you want caffeine or not in it. If you do want the caffeine, that's, you know, a boost of energy, makes you feel a lot better. Without it, you're going to get probably increased focus, from certain ingredients. But the main thing is you're looking for something that's going to increase blood flow. So a vasodilation, what that's actually going to do, yes, you get a sick pump, you feel good, you look good, but you're actually setting yourself up for a better recovery. Because now as those veins are opening up, you're priming your body to uptake nutrients. So now the protein and potentially glucose that you take after a workout is going to have an easier time getting shuttled to the muscle, so that way you can repair muscle, recover quicker, and not be so fatigued. And so I think that's something people don't realize when they're buying, because it's a pre-workout, it's before the workout. But you're actually, the better quality it is, you're setting yourself up for a better post-workout. You're setting yourself up to recover a lot better. And so I'm one of the biggest advocates for, like, pre-workout is one thing that you should be using. You know, if you are getting very serious about it, that's one thing that I would always make sure I have.
100%. I totally agree. And then I would add probably the fourth one and probably final. I mean, granted, guys, you probably, like, a good protein and creatine is, like, probably enough if you're on a budget and you're younger. Like, that's solid, both pretty cheap in general. But if you can, add a post-workout glucose. So simple carb, sugar mix to your protein post-workout. Spikes your insulin, you're able to take in more protein, and it refuels your glycogen levels. So glycogen gets depleted during your workout, right? You're driving a car, the gas is getting burned during the workout. You want to be able to put the gas back in the tank post-workout. That's why you've probably seen your friends eat gummy bears.
Rice Krispies.
What else you got? Rice Krispies. That's like the trendy thing right now. But yeah, if you can shuttle that in with the protein post-workout, you're going to recover quicker. You're going to get stronger faster. Very worth it, and a very cheap supplement to take in general. $20-$30.
I would say $20-$30 and you're good.
And I think those are great. What, four or five of them? The most solid for building muscle.
What was, we were talking about me, what is one of the biggest mistakes you were making when you were first starting?
Big one with actual training, your workout plan. I would always recommend going back. Now I wish I knew about progressive overload. So at the beginning, I would, like, you know, very beginning, I was hitting fucking arm days and chest days. That's it. I didn't touch anything else. I didn't squat, didn't do anything. I just wanted big arms in high school. After that, let's talk about the first couple years, just like actually thinking I was training. A lot of, like, machine hopping, you know, like 7, 8, 9 exercises per lift. I'm in there for 2 hours. Dude, you only need about 45 minutes of, like, solid focus intensity going into your workout. I would, like, hit 1 or 2 compound lifts and, like, over time try and increase the amount of reps or the amount of weight that you're using on those, and track your weight and, like, how much you're doing. That way you can actually tangibly say, I'm getting stronger. Right? Not just going through, like, I think I'm getting stronger. I think I'm getting bigger. You see yourself in the mirror every day. It's really hard to know I'm gaining muscle. So I would have gone from 9 exercises down to probably about 4 or 5, where I'm really just focusing on 3 to 4 sets or 2 working sets maybe of just, like, an intense all I got. And then the rest is more, you know, pump, just like accessory work, stuff like that. But really focus on the compound lifts, right? And for anyone that doesn't know, like, a compound lift would be like your barbell squat, your bench press, incline press, deadlift, you know, big muscle groups that target a lot of your body that you're going to get the most bang for your buck out of, right? If you're going to be in there, you might as well do the things that produce the most muscle growth, right? That recruit the most muscle fibers. So I would do those compound lifts and just try and get fucking better at them each week. I know it's not sexy. You're doing the same thing every time you fucking go in there. Contrary to what everyone says, switch it up, confuse the muscle. Yeah, I get it. Like, switching reps and ranges and drop sets and stuff like that. But when you're young, eat fucking food and hit your compound lifts. That's it. And get really good, strong. That's it. That's what I would have done. And I would have been 10 times bigger than I am right now.
That's funny. Everyone talks about, like, confuse the muscle.
Arnold.
Like, your body doesn't actually know. So if you're doing an incline bench press on a Smith machine, your body's not going to be able to tell that you did that as opposed to actually doing a regular incline bench press.
Same movement.
It's the same movement. You're targeting the same muscle. It's not like in the muscle. It's like, oh, he did a different exercise. That hit me different. No, that's not what we're talking about. With the confusing the muscle, like you're saying,
it knows your threshold and it knows that you went past it.
Exactly.
Or or in a different intensity style.
Right.
That's it.
You know, that's like I've seen videos of people where they're like surprise the muscle. And so he'll be working out and his buddy will like jump out of a trash can.
And like hit a curl.
Yeah.
Like, didn't expect that.
Exactly. And it's like, that's really actually how almost dumb it sounds.
Yeah.
To do that. It's like, no, actually what we're talking about is changing your rep ranges, changing the volume that you're doing, right? That's actually how you confuse the muscle, because now you're making it fatigue in a different way.
Yeah.
Your exercise choices have nothing to do with it.
Right.
Right. And then another thing that you touched on is I used to do the same thing. I would go in and like, if I felt good, I was going to do 10 exercises of something. And I would just be in there.
I think that's what's going to make me grow more is outworking everyone. So by doing more than everyone and staying in the gym longer, I'm going to grow more.
Correct.
When it's the exact opposite. If I didn't train 7 days a week and I trained 4 days a week, and the other 3 days were literally just eating and recovering and actually growing.
Right.
Guys, don't forget, you're not growing in the gym. You're breaking down muscle tissue in the gym. You're beating your body down.
Right.
It needs to recover and get stronger. So in the other days, you need to be eating food, right? That's actually how you would grow the fastest, is if you weren't burning as many calories and you were eating more calories total than, burning.
Yeah. Nope. That's another one. No one ever told me. I was in the gym 7 days a week for probably legit like 6 years straight.
Yeah.
5 or 6 years straight. Right. Every single day. The first time I actually missed the gym is because I got my wisdom teeth out.
Right.
So I had to for like 2 weeks, and that sucked. But I grew, even though I was like limited on what I was eating less, and so that made it a lot harder because I was like, I'm not gonna work out, I'm gonna get skinny. But then I actually recovered in those 2 weeks, and I was like, oh shit, this is actually kind of cool. Yeah. I should probably start doing this. And that's like actually when I started taking rest days was because of that.
Yeah. I think we actually just got a knock on the door. We might have to get this shipment that's coming in. But overall, do you want to cut it here, pause it here?
Go, we'll pause it.
And honestly, I think we've hit our time pretty well on this. So this was all about putting on weight. Next week, let's talk about losing weight.
Perfect.
So just tune in to the next episode. We'll talk about how to lose weight properly, how to cut, keep your muscle on, all that good stuff.
Cool. And do not forget to hit that subscribe button, give it a like, share it if you're enjoying the videos. We'd greatly appreciate it. And until then, we will see you guys next week.